Hi everyone! I'm coming to you with some exciting news today because finally have my sample of the Pinoy Practical Magic Tarot deck, which I worked on a couple of months back and wasn't sure if I would be able to produce because of lockdown and quarantine and all of that. But yeah, I finally found a workaround and got my sample yesterday. So last night I was playing around with the deck. I did a first impressions video that you may have probably seen already now. So since this is a new thing, I'd like to introduce you to a couple of cards in the deck, show you how it reads, just so you see how it works. So I'm gonna be doing a simple 3-card spread for you using the deck. I've pre-shuffled the cards already and laid them out. For this 3-card spread, I'm using a spread created by my friend Miko. Yeah, you can't see it here, but Miko and I collaborated on the No Filter Oracle decks. Miko also has a Filipino deck. It's called Ang Iyong Gabay, Your Guide in English. It's a Filipino Oracle deck which you can find on Instagram at Mga Baraha. That's MGABARAHA. So Miko crafts a lot of spreads that are in Filipino. And so I decided to not make my own spread but just follow hers because it's already good. So the spread I'm using today is called Pagmamahal sa Sarili or Self-Love. So I'll be reading it in Filipino but also translating it in English. I mean, my cards are Filipino. I used images of Filipino celebrities from the 70s and 80s. So artistas. But I feel like because they follow the Rider-Waite-Smith system, it's a very generic not generic. Its images can be followed by anyone, whether or not you recognize these celebrities or not. Okay, so let's start with the reading. Disclaimer before I begin. Whenever I do readings, like general readings like this, I think they're dual purpose. The first purpose is more superficial. I think for now it's so that you can see the cards and see how they work together, see the images, get a sneak preview. The second purpose is for you to maybe think, reflect. Perhaps some of the messages that come up you'll resonate with. And of course, if they don't resonate with you, then just think of this as a sneak peek to the tarot deck. If you do pick up a couple of lessons, then great. Alright, so let's start. The first card is this. So Miko's question is, ano ang tingin mo sa sarili mo? Paano mo tratuhin ang iyong sarili? And in English, this just asks, how do you see yourself and how do you treat yourself? Alright, our first card is the Page of Swords. Okay, this celebrity is Alma Moreno. And the key phrase we have in the corner over here is, buksan ang isip or open your mind. So I feel like this card is a reflection of how we see and treat ourselves. And I think maybe if you're listening to this reading right now, perhaps you look at yourself as someone with an open mind. Maybe you're ready to expand your belief systems. You're ready to learn more. You're ready to abandon thought patterns that no longer serve you or society or the people around you. I feel like this is incredibly relevant right now because I think it would serve us as people, as citizens of the world, to open our minds a little more. And I guess like the cliche is true, right? If you love yourself, it's easier to love everyone else. Yeah. Alright, we have the Page of Swords. The second card is, anong humahadlang sa pagmahal mo sa iyong sarili? So what's blocking you from loving yourself? A lot of spreads have this block card. We get the Temperance card here. So Temperance in Filipino is hinahon, and the key phrase is hinay-hinay. What this means in English, hinay-hinay is sort of like a way to say pace yourself. Don't go too fast. Just tread very carefully. And temperance is generally seen as a positive card. I put air quotes there, but it's coming up as a block. So when does pacing yourself and moving slowly become a roadblock as opposed to something that benefits you? Because we're talking of self-love, I feel like when we're ready to open our minds to new things, to different ways of thinking, sometimes this kicks in and we get scared. We get scared to open our minds to new things because we're confronted with the many ways in which we're wrong. So sometimes we put the brakes on when we're trying to open ourselves up, and that's when temperance can be a hindrance, because instead of like moving forward or forging ahead, we're actually slowing ourselves down. Maybe now it's more important to open ourselves up right away, because a lot of things are happening around us, and to love ourselves better, we need to do that and maybe battle any fears that may come up. So that's just one example of how slowing things down can sometimes not be the best thing. Our third card for this reading is this one. So, sa paanong paraan makakabuti ito sa'yo? So, in what way can this reading, I think, be beneficial to you? So, knowing that you love yourself more by opening your mind, knowing that you don't need to slow yourself down, you have to move forward and move ahead. What benefit do these two things bring to your life? And this is the sun, ang araw. This is Vilma Santos, if you didn't know. And this key phrase here, it's not focusing, is sigla, which is feeling alive, vitality, basically. That's really the word that comes to my mind when I think of the sun. I think it makes sense because when we know that we need to pick up the pace, we finally come alive. And coming alive has to do with opening our minds. Sometimes we don't know that we're in the dark until we open our eyes and look at the ways in which we're not seeing reality. I guess it's almost like the Buddha, when he moves out and runs with the people outside his home's walls and sees everything. I mean, it's a very jarring realization, but he forged ahead. He moved forward, and it took him to a different, a way upgraded frequency, right? And I think that's what the sun brings us, that frequency upgrade, that feeling of coming alive. Yeah, so I like how we've got two majors flanking our first card, which is all about the mind. I like that we got not just two majors, but also an air card, a swords card in a self-love reading. Sometimes it's easy when the feelings cards show up in a self-love feeling, but reading. But then when something like air, the swords, intellect comes up, you need to kind of stretch your reader's muscles a little more and see how everything falls into place. Yeah, so I hope you like this reading, and I hope you like the sneak peek into the cards. So yeah, I still am not sure about my plans for this, but when this video comes up, I'm sure you'll already know about launches and all of that. So the look of this deck is, it kind of follows the Practical Magic deck that I made with a different flavor. I'm still doing collage, but this time using a lot of vintage images, which I pulled from actual magazines from the late 70s, early 80s, and Yeah, so the card backs are based on the Philippine flag. Oops. But using my color palette, this font, if you aren't familiar with it, it's a free font. It's called Quiapo, and it mimics the lettering that we see in our jeepneys. And so this is a 78 card deck. It comes in a tuck box. I'm still tweaking the design of this because there are things that are off center. So I have a description here, and then these phrases are words from our national anthem, which I think is perfect because it's a Filipino deck. So I hope you like what you saw. Maybe the reading resonated with you, maybe it didn't. Give Miko a follow at Mga Baraha to see more spreads like this and to see her own Filipino Oracle deck. I guess that's it for today. I really like how the colors kind of go with my bedspread. That's fun. Yeah, that's it. I'll talk to you guys again, maybe with another reading. And if you have any questions about the deck, feel free to comment or send me a message. Go to my website at www.practicalmagic.co or give me a follow on Instagram. It's practical_magical. Thanks and bye.